Welcome to the Ohio Medical Marijuana Control Program's Cultivator Applications webinar. The following webinar is informational. It does not contain legal advice and should not be relied upon as such. If viewers have legal questions relating to any provision of the Ohio Revised Code, the Ohio Administrative Code, or any other law, policy, regulation, or rule that applies to the subject matter of the webinar, viewers should consult with an attorney. The purpose of this webinar is to address critical aspects of the application and scoring process for medical marijuana cultivator provisional license applicants. Please make note of any questions you may have throughout this webinar. The department will hold 2 Q&A periods in the month of May, during which applicants may email the department with any questions regarding the process. The questions and corresponding answers will be posted on medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov. Below is a screenshot of the Medical Marijuana Control Program's website, where the application documents will be provided. That website is medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov. And the screenshot indicates that those documents can be found under the Cultivation tab. The application package will include the following documents: the Cultivator application instructions, the Cultivator application section 1, and the Cultivator application section 2. In section 1, it will include information that makes it possible for the reviewer to associate the application with a particular applicant. They will receive a pass-fail designation for the items provided in section 1. If an applicant receives a fail designation, the application will be removed from consideration. Under section 2, all materials submitted are prohibited from including information that could reveal the identity of the applicant. Each plan under section 2 receives a numerical score that must meet the plan's minimum score requirement. Applicants for a cultivator provisional license or their representative must submit applications in person at the department between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday during the application acceptance periods listed below. For level 2 applications, the submission period is June 5th through June 16th, 2017. For level 1 applications, the submission period is June 19th through June 30th, 2017. Applications must be hand-delivered to the Ohio Department of Commerce, which is located on the 23rd floor of the Vern Rife Center at 77 South High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Though not mandatory, the department will accept appointments for submissions during the applicable submission period at the request of the applicant. Appointments must be scheduled during business hours and will not be scheduled for June 15th and 16th or June 29th and 30th. Any applicant wishing to schedule an appointment may do so by calling the department beginning Monday, May 22nd. No requests for appointments will be accepted after 5 p.m. on June 2nd, 2017. The application submissions must require the following. First, 1 paper copy of the application in 12-point font on standard white 8.5 by 11 copy paper with margins no smaller than 3/4 of an inch on all sides. Do not use company letterhead, stationery, decorative packaging, promotional materials, or presentation materials. Second, the application submissions must include 2 standard CDR or DVD-R read-only, not rewritable discs. Each CD or DVD-R must contain only a PDF copy of Section 1 and a PDF copy of Section 2, as separate files. Digital copies must be identical to the paper copy that is submitted. Lastly, the application submissions must include the applicable application fee via certified check or money order made payable to the Treasurer of the State of Ohio. The applicable application fees are $20,000 for Level 1 applicants and $2,000 for Level 2 applicants. Please keep in mind that a Level 1 applicant cannot apply for a Level 2 license, and a Level 2 applicant, similarly, cannot also apply for a Level 1. It is important to note that applications that do not contain all of the required elements in the required format will not be accepted.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about what's included in each section of the application. Section 1 will include information that requires the identity of the applicant to be known to the reviewer. It will be reviewed by a separate panel of reviewers from the panel that reviews Section 2. Section 1 will receive a pass-fail for all required forms and documents. There will be no numerical score. If Section 1, any part of the forms in there receive a fail designation, Section 2 of the application will not be reviewed. The application will be removed from consideration and the application fee forfeited. In Section 1, Form 1I, the section must list every individual with a financial interest in the applicant, either directly or by extension through a business entity. Percentage of ownership must be listed for each individual and must total 100%. In this example, John Q. Public and Jane Doe are 50-50 partners in Capital Investors LLC, which owns a 10% interest in the applicant. Both John and Jane's names must be listed on the roster, each showing a 5% interest. You can see that on the chart below. In this example with the same owners, you can see that they list Capital Investors LLC as the owner with a 10% interest. This would not be acceptable. It's important to remember as we begin to go into Section 2 that Section 2 of the application must not contain any information that could reveal the identity of the applicant to the reviewer. Points will be deducted from an applicant's total raw score for the inclusion of identifying information. Details about this will follow in the presentation. In Section 2, two identifier legends have been provided in the Section 1 application forms, both Forms 1I and Form 1P. Any individual or entity that will be referenced or mentioned in Section 2 must be assigned an identifier or an alias to be listed on the corresponding legend. Please ensure that all identifiers match the correct individuals or entities listed in the legends. For individuals, use person A, person B, etc., as listed in the identifier legend in Section 1's Form 1I. For entities, use entity A, entity B, etc., as listed in the entity identifier legend in Section 1, Form 1P. Examples of identifying information and acceptable substitutions are included below. For John Smith, CEO, you could list person A as designated in Form 1I. For an entity such as the Medical Marijuana Investors LLC, use entity A as designated in Form 1P. Section 2 will first be screened for identifying information by a redaction team, which is separate from the team assigning the numerical score. Identifying information found in Section 2 of the application will be redacted prior to the application being reviewed by the Section 2 review team in order to maintain anonymity. Each instance of the following pieces of identifying information in Section 2 will result in the deduction of 2 points from the total raw score, such as individual, entity, or university names, personal addresses, business addresses, or individual components of an address, personal or entity identification numbers, contact information, company logos, trademarks, or other identifying marks, location references that would make it possible for a reviewer to identify where the proposed facility will be located, and references to involvement in Ohio's marijuana legalization efforts. It's important to note that a maximum deduction of 10 points will be assessed for 5 instances for the inclusion of identifying information in Section 2. If an applicant exceeds 5 instances, the application will be denied and the application fee will be forfeited.
Now on to the application scoring. Each of the plans submitted in Section 2 of the application will be reviewed and assigned a numerical score. Once every plan in Section 2 is assigned a numerical score, the review team will ensure that each plan meets the minimum score requirement. If met, the department will calculate the overall raw score. Points will then be deducted from the overall raw score where identifying information was included in Section 2 and required redaction. And the review team will ensure that the application meets the minimum overall raw score requirement of 60 points after the reduction in points. If an applicant satisfies all of the minimum score requirements, each plan score and the applicable point deductions will be multiplied by the listed conversion factors. Applicants will be ranked by the resulting total weighted score. The following table displays the manner in which an applicant's raw score will be converted to a weighted score. To provide a few examples, in this example, the applicant meets or exceeds the minimum score for each plan, as evidenced by the check mark under the minimum score column and the raw score column, in which those scores exceed the applicable minimum score. The team will then calculate the total raw score of all of those plans and confirm that the total raw score exceeds the minimum score requirement of 60 points. Once that is confirmed, the point deduction will occur, resulting in the adjusted raw score for the application. The team will then confirm that that adjusted raw score either meets or exceeds the 60-point minimum score requirement for the overall application. If, similar to this hypothetical, the score does meet or exceed that 60-point threshold, the conversion factors will be applied to each plan's raw score as well as the total deductions, resulting in the weighted score for the application. In this example, the total weighted score is 141.46. In this next example, the applicant does not meet or exceed the minimum score in each plan or the minimum overall score. As you will see, after the first assignment of scores, the total raw score is 64 points, putting that applicant above the required 60 points. However, when looking at the necessary deductions due to the inclusion of identifiable information in Section 2, 6 points were deducted from that total raw score, resulting in an adjusted raw score of 58 points, which falls below the minimum requirement of 60 points. Therefore, this applicant would not receive further consideration. The following slides include information that will be helpful to applicants as they prepare their applications for submission in June. However, we will not be going through these individual slides on this webinar. If there are questions that result from these slides, please submit them during the Q&A periods that will be provided. There will be 2 one-week submission periods in which applicants may email any questions regarding the application process to the department at mmcp@com.state.oh.us. Please enter webinar Q&A as the subject line on your submissions. The department will review all questions submitted and will post answers on the program website at medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov. Each person or entity may submit up to 3 questions to be reviewed by the department and answered by the department during the following periods. Q&A period 1 will begin on May 1st and will conclude on May 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The answers to those questions will be posted on May 12th. The second Q&A period will be held beginning May 15th and will conclude on May 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The answers to those questions will be posted on the website on May 26th. We'd like to thank you for your interest and time today reviewing this webinar for the Cultivator applications, and the department looks forward to receiving your questions and requests for clarification via the Q&A periods. Thank you.